Hey everyone, welcome back to Folklore. Pretty sure that we're done with all of the in-game quests now. Yep, just the one repeatable one. So it's time to get into our downloaded quests. And the first new one we've got is the sequel to an earlier one, which I believe was an in-game quest. Because if I remember, the first time we met Wilde, we got a picture book page for it. Well, it seems like the plan to scare off Wilde didn't go quite as smoothly as they expected. He wasn't supposed to recognize that there were actually non-humans in the village. Well, if our questing takes us to the core, we might be able to find some folks worth capturing. I believe that means we only need to go halfway. And we're not fighting the traditional folks of the core here. Gotta be careful not to accidentally step into the portal while I'm fighting. But at least they're nice, simple enemies to beat, just a bunch of boggarts and hawks. I actually kinda like Ellen's bergamot. And we can't even go the wrong way this time. So let's just... on the off chance any of these crystals have treasures in them instead of health. Nah, of course not. And I don't think there's a whole lot of items that we're still gonna need. Bunch of folks I've already fought before. And both Daru and Bugaboo are susceptible to sleep, so... do want to give Grab Bag a go, though, just because he's fun. And gets thrown aside by those spines like nobody's business. I don't know whether Bugaboos would be faster to kill or capture. I mean, their radids pop out pretty quickly under sleep, and they don't usually take all that long to capture. They can generally do it with other Bugaboos in the room. And not necessarily with all of them stunned. but just to make sure that they don't wake up. Last one. Now I think the status effects do some amount of damage. At the very least, whatever kind of damage it is that draws out an id. Because I've seen a couple of times, particularly since my mom has been playing the game, I watched her from time to time, I'd see her do stuff like hit an Ogma with a bond element attack, and out pops its id. So I'm pretty sure it was really weak when it started, but it took some amount of, whatever you call it, id damage from that attack. And Sleep and Charm probably work about the same way. Speaking of bond attacks, I actually know a better way to take care of enemies like Alrane now. Once I've got rid of all these thrumpin'. Ooh, one of them drops a green dust. I actually need that. Let's see, who was it? There we go. Bergamot needed 5 green dust, and now we just need to defeat 10 folks. In here we've got some folks that are weak to the slash element. Sounds like a match to me. Look at that. You can hit Alrane, and Answerer, of course, with Bond. I really can't believe I never tried that. So, Mom, if you're watching, here's a shout out to you. You have made scenes like this so much easier. I probably should be charging it up, at least while they're all stunned. But when you've got active folks around, sometimes the speed of the attack is more important than the power. That, or I forgot that I could charge it. And somehow or other they both died, even though I thought I'd only killed one of them. Oh well, not gonna complain. And in this case, I actually do need the health. But I don't grab it for some reason. Could be I wasn't expecting to actually find any enemies in this room. But we've got Fahan, which is vulnerable to the charm element, and Gaboy, which we need to kill 3 of with a Mobium. How convenient! That might actually save me a trip to Warcadia later. I also need to kill a bunch of folks with Agapanthus. But with the number of folks in the room, and how long it takes for Agapanthus to get an attack in, it's just not going to be very practical. So I think I'm just going to take out the Fahan normally. And by normally I mean liberal uses of charm. They're vulnerable to sleep too, but I'm not sure I want to get close enough necessarily to use Habitrope. And with a little bit of space between me and the enemies, now it's time to go for those kills. The one really nice thing about a Mobium is that it knocks down pretty much anything that it hits. I didn't even know the Gaboy could fall down. But clearly they can. And that's just really nice and effective. I mean, it takes a while to go off, but provided that you can keep it safe until it does, that's just a great attack. It actually almost feels like Ellen has something worth using in the destroy element. And one more to take care of, and we'll finally be done. Again, trying to knock it away from the portal that would lead back to the previous room. I didn't notice Amobium's MC consumption being particularly painful, but I suppose that it being cheaper is a good thing. And let's see what else we got to do with it. Oh, upholstery nuts. So the only thing that it ever becomes is cheaper. Not stronger, not faster. I still think it's a pretty good attack. Happy end! Well, there is a netherworld entrance right at the hinge, and it leads right back to the core. Yes, we get to fight our way through the core a second time. Well, we've seen what happens to humans in the netherworld. So that's the gimmick of this quest. The first half was just a warm-up. Now we gotta fight the same groups of folks, but if we don't kill them all quickly enough, more will appear. So we definitely need to get the job done quickly, and actually it looks like there's a new folk in the mix. Fun, fun. I'm going to try to take care of the answer as quickly as possible, I think. And the more of them I manage to leave alive before capturing one, the quicker the job I can hopefully do of just taking them all out at once. No, actually another answer has appeared while I have failed to kill the first one. And they're still immune to bond while they're in the middle of an attack, which is unfortunate. But I should be able to deal with all of this. There are plenty of quests where the enemies keep appearing much faster than this. In this one it actually is possible to stay ahead of them. I also don't know whether taking out all of one type of folk prevents more of that type from appearing, in which case it might not be a good thing to leave answerers as the only ones left. Not really sure why I'm trying to kill the answerers rather than capture them. They are a quick capture. Again, I might just be trying to delay more of them from appearing. Fortunately, all the folks here are vulnerable to bond, so I've got something to go on. And we do get a little pick-me-up before we move on to the next room. So the second room was mostly Daru and Bugaboo. And it looks like we've got Hobbledy as well. Still no problem capturing a Daru quickly. And I'm thinking the Bugaboos I might need to kill rather than capture this time. That Hobbledy is unlikely to let up. I guess fighting the Daru reminds me that I haven't really used it all that much. And it's pretty good when you need to keep a distance from folks that attack you physically. See if we can take all these guys out fast enough. Well, it'll be the Hobbledies. And was that the sound of something appearing? Or am I just hearing all the folks disappearing? I guess more Hobbledies will show up, because that was one behind me. Fortunately, it should be no big deal to capture it quickly. long as it stays within Daru's range. It's always kind of weird having those folks with a minimum attack distance. There we go. Just gotta find a thunder attack that doesn't take forever to go off. And still miss the target half the time. So here was Alrane and Thrumpen. Thrumpen are not vulnerable to sleep, but they can be charmed. At least I believe they can. Might not turn out to be relevant ultimately. Oh, there's the other folk for this room. We got Skrikers. Now the problem is I've got to try to take out the Alrane quickly. And as I think we've all found out, taking down an Alrane quickly is not always easy. Well, surprisingly an effective attack. Since Skriker always electrocute you when they hit, I kind of figured they'd be immune, or at least resistant to electricity. But we know that they're very weak to water, and that's all I really care about. Got full health, and it's time for the final room of this quest. For real this time. And it's Gaboy, Fahan, and Agapanthus. Oh dear. Well, I'll take care of the easy ones first. Or at least I'll try to. Because as it turns out, I think we'll get multiplying folks even if we haven't captured any of them. So, what's best for dealing with Gaboy? And everything else that's left is at least vulnerable to destroy. It's just a matter of getting the job done as quickly as possible and staying out of the way of the two Agapanthus that are now attacking me. And, of course, the portal. At least the respawn rate is pretty slow. And for once, Gargantua actually kind of pulls its weight. But I need a more direct attack, and while I've had a blind spot for Fomor in the past, it goes well with the Cloak of Midnight Sun, like I've said before. And if I alternate skillfully between Gargantua and Fomor, I should be able to bring down most of these enemies. I just don't want to attempt to capture an Agapanthus right now. If I can eliminate all the other folks in the room, maybe. But I think it'll be a lot faster just to take the Agapanthus out directly. Well, actually, everything else is dead. Don't want to risk anything appearing while I'm trying to capture it, though. Because you know that's what would happen. So I think we're finally done with this quest. Let's see what's up with Wilde. You know, at least he still looks human. Oh, you scamp, you almost got someone killed. Not much of a reward, but it really wasn't a very difficult quest. That one was kind of fun. And I'll see you for another one next time.